Hello, welcome to the Sydney Stoma channel. My name's Chris. How are you? Hope you're all keeping really well and doing really well. So today's video is, as per the thumbnail, it is talking about what does a ostomy feel like. So that question I do get asked a few times, and it kind of depends on what the person's really kind of angling at. What do they really want to know when they say, what does an ostomy feel like? So I have to kind of explore that and say, are you talking about the actual stoma itself, in terms of what does that feel like? Or what does just having an ostomy feel like? As in, are we talking about the bag? You know, what does an ostomy bag feel like? Or the third part, if you like, is what does it feel like to wear a bag? So I try and answer every element of that when people answer that question, unless they give me a specific about what does a bag feel like or what does the stoma feel like. So yeah, this video is just talking about what does having a stoma feel like, what does wearing an ostomy bag feel like, and even what does an ostomy bag feel like. And what I'm also going to add into this video is, can you touch a stoma and what does it feel like to touch? And I will at some point pause the video, lower the camera, or I'll take my colostomy bag off and we'll have a look at the stoma. So if you don't want to watch that bit, you'll know when it's coming. You can whiz past that bit. So let's talk about the basics. When people say what does an ostomy feel like, so let's go with what does an ostomy bag feel like. I use two types of bags, and let me just open this drawer and get the other one out that I use. Excuse me ducking down. So I generally use two bags from two different companies. We've got the Coloplast Sensoro Mio, and we also have here in my left hand the Pelican Moda V bag. They are quite different bags. I have reviewed both of these on my channel. So they're the two main bags that I use, and feel wise there's not much difference in the way that these feel. Now I think sometimes people want to know about what the bag feels like, because as you can hear, they are quite crinkly, but they are very soft as well. A really nice soft material, especially this one, but this one is also really soft. So yes, they do crinkle, and I think for people that are having a stoma are worried about how they feel, will people hear it? And you don't. Whilst it's crinkly in your hand, when it's on your stomach and underneath your clothing, you can't hear them. When you walk in, they don't rustle. They don't really do anything. They just do their job. So no, you can't really tell they're there. You know, other people are not going to know it's there anyway. If you're worried about that, people are not going to know. You can walk around, do whatever you need to do. When it's under your clothing, it doesn't really move much, so it certainly doesn't make that crinkly sound every time you take a step forward. So there's no issues around that. So in terms of what does an ostomy bag feel like, they generally just feel quite soft on the outside, and inside, yes, they're going to be kind of plasticky, but they're fine. They don't really make a noise. So in terms of what does an ostomy bag feel like, it just feels like a soft bit of crinkly material. Yeah, I don't really think about it, and it's not really something I give much thought to about what does it feel like. I do when I first kind of try a new bag. I want to know what it feels like, but after that, once it's on my stomach, don't think about it whatsoever. So that's that part covered. So in terms of what does it feel like to have an ostomy, in terms of having a stoma, having an ostomy bag, again, it's not something I give a huge amount of thought to, because I've just got used to it and it's just part of me. It's part of who I am now. It doesn't define me, but it is part of me. So what does it feel like? Really difficult question to answer, really. The only times I think what does it feel like to have an ostomy is sometimes my skin underneath the base plate can get sore and it can get itchy, and I want to get my fingers in there and give it a good old scratch, but you can't because there's a bag in the way. So in that terms, that's when I do notice I've got one, is when the skin's playing up and it gets itchy. Does my skin play up a lot through having an ostomy bag? Yes, but not because it's a big problem with ostomies having bad skin. I suffer with bad skin anyway, and if my skin's flaring, it will flare up underneath the bag. So I do get sore skin, but not every person with an ostomy does get sore skin. So that's one of the only really times I notice it. The other times I notice it is sometimes my work trousers feel a bit tight, and if my stomach's a bit bloated, because I have really slow output, so sometimes my stomach will bloat up, and I can then feel my trousers pushing on the stoma area. So that's sometimes when I notice it, but it's not super uncomfortable. So yeah, it's quite a tricky one. It is a tricky one to answer. What does it feel like having it? The bag, I would never really notice it, as I kind of already mentioned. And the stoma itself, it's just part of me. I don't really focus on it. Just don't really notice it. It doesn't hurt. You know, a stoma hasn't got nerve endings. So I can't feel when I'm doing a poo. I can't feel when that's happening because there's just no nerve endings in your intestines. So if it's having output, I don't really feel that. Occasionally I will, but it depends. Because my bowel movements are slow, they can be quite firm, so sometimes I can feel it pushing out into the bag, and it's only because I can kind of feel that area moving as where it's trying to push its way into the bag. But the actual stoma itself, you can't feel it, or that has no feeling. And I'm going to show you that when I talk about what does an actual stoma feel like. So I've covered 2 points there really. One, what does an ostomy bag feel like? We've covered that. What does it feel like to have an ostomy? You just get used to it. It just becomes part of you, and you just I'm kind of like carefree with it. You know, it is just part of me now, and I just don't really notice it. It's not something I'm super conscious of, and no one else will be either really. So yeah, tricky one, hence my words are not coming out the way I'd like them to, because it's just a tricky question. So what we'll do is I'll show you the stoma. So if you don't want to see my stoma, it's not very big, to be quite honest. If you don't want to see it, then you could probably end the video here, because it's going to be the last part of the video. But I will take the bag off, I'll give it a clean, and we'll have a look at the stoma, and I'll give it a touch. So that was the last part, is can you touch a stoma? And you have got to touch them when you need to clean them, but you can touch them. So we'll talk about that. What I'll do is I'll pause it, I'll lower the camera down, my head's going to disappear out of shot, and you're just going to see my waist area, and we'll have a look at the stoma and we'll touch it, see if anything happens. I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so we're back. So now you won't be able to see my beautiful face. We can now see where my colostomy bag is, and we will take it off. Now this bag I've had on, I think this is day 2, and it is really empty. Like I say, my intestines are so slow at the moment, hence my stomach is looking rather large, because it just takes forever for my intestines to get moving. So we'll take it off. There is some poo in there, so I'm sure you don't want to see that, so I'll do my best to make sure you don't see that. And then we'll have a look at the stoma. I'm not too worried that anything will come out of the stoma whilst we're on camera, because like I say, it's very slow at the moment. So let's take off the belt. If you're wondering why I use a belt, if you're new to my channel, it's because I use convex bags, and convex bags, you do have a belt on them. And my skin is looking pretty good at the moment. There's not really much going on with that. Let's just give that a wipe. So as you can see, I've already touched the stoma just with the wipe really. Let me just give this skin area a bit more of a clean, just to make sure there's no adhesive left on there, old adhesive. So as you can see, like I say, my stoma is quite small really, and that's why I use convex bags, because convex bags push here, which helps the stoma come out a bit more into the bag, which reduces something called pancaking, which I have covered on another video. So there it is, there's my stoma. That's Sydney the stoma. And if you're wanting to know what a stoma feels like, it's difficult to explain really, because like I say, they've got no nerve endings in them. So if I touch it, and my hands are clean, I can touch that, and it just feels like it's warm and it's moist. It does need to always be moist, and it should always be moist. So I can only feel it with my finger. The intestines can't feel my finger, and it just feels like jelly really, a bit jelly like. It's a piece of intestine. It's jelly, and it's moist, and it's quite soft, and it does move as well. Sometimes I'll watch it and it just kind of moves, very gently moves. It might even happen sometimes when you touch it, it moves. But yeah, don't ever, if you're new to having a stoma, or you're thinking about having colostomy or ileostomy surgery, don't worry about touching it. You can certainly touch it, it's not a problem. And they will show you that at the hospital, that you can touch it. There's certainly nothing wrong with giving it a touch, and you need to, because like I say, when you're cleaning it, when you've got like a wipe, you need to put the wipe over it. It can't hurt it as such. You know, I'm using quite a lot of force on there, and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. Now it'll probably start moving because I've pushed it around a bit. And there you go, it's moving. Because I've just been pushing it around, it wants to go back to where it was. So in terms of answering that question, what does a stoma feel like? It just feels like moist, squishy jelly is what it feels like. It's a piece of your intestine. You know, it's a living organ, isn't it? And it moves. So touching it is not a problem. Can I feel it? No, I never really notice. I don't know it's there most of the time. So yeah, not an issue. Not an issue to touch it. I'm going to, let's just put a new bag on. Let's just go through the process of doing that. Recently I've had poor skin, so I have been doing a bit of a different stoma routine where I have been putting cream on, a barrier cream. I won't do that now. But let's get the bag on, get this belt back on, and then I'll pull the camera back up top and we'll finish off the video. There we go, hook that back on, that's all on fine. And then that can just tuck away, pull the trousers up, and it's gone. Simple as that. Don't know what's happening with my mic wire. There we go, let's move that back down. Right, I'll pause this one again and we'll come back up top and we'll finish the video off. Hello, welcome back. We're back up top. So there you go, there's a view of my stoma and touching the stoma. So as you can see, it's perfectly fine to touch a stoma. You have to touch it because you need to clean it anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video really. I hope you liked it. I hope it was beneficial. So we've answered the 3 questions. What's it like to have an ostomy? What's it like? What does an ostomy bag feel like? And then what does a stoma itself actually feel like? So I've answered all those questions. Hope that helps. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe so you get update on all my new content. If you like the video, give it a like. If there's anything you need help on, any advice you need about life with a colostomy, stick something in the comments. If I think it's good enough to do a video with, or I think there's enough content to do a video with, I will. If not, I'll always respond to comments. I pretty much respond to every single comment that I can on the channel. So there you go. Hope you have a good day. Take care, and I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers. Bye now.